that's okay. Perfect. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Alcor Devs Testing number 36. Today is May 12th, and we have 5 items in the agenda to discuss today. And I think the most packed one is going to be the discussion on which CFI EIPs are we going to include in the Fusaka Devnet 0. Along with BeerDAS and a couple more of the topics to discuss is block scale execution in the CL and discussion about history expiry. So I think we're ready to start. And yeah, the first item I wanted to bring up the discussion, but I think it's not going to be that much necessary, is any Pectra related discussions from last Wednesday that anybody wants to bring up today. Either findings or any relevant points or topics about the fork that anyone has in mind and wants to share. And Mikhail is raising a point in the chat. The deposit mechanism transition has been successfully finished 17 hours after the fork. So it1 underscore data pool can be safely removed. And this might matter for the history expiry discussion. Thank you, Mikhail. That's very good news. Anything else for Pectra? Findings or anything worth sharing? All right. Yeah, it was very smooth upgrade. Yeah, it was great. Very uneventful. And James from Prism is highlighting that they are still looking into some performance things. I think that's expected. And yeah. Cool. If nothing else from Pectra, I think we can just jump into the next topic. I have prepared a tracker where I just tried to consolidate the feeling or sentiment regarding which EIPs should we introduce into the Fusaka Devnet 0. Basically, this list is all of the CFI EIPs for Fusaka. And I can start by summarizing the sentiment from Still, which is basically testing and specifications, ILS and IST. And generally, we are only opposing one of the EIPs, but not strongly so. And if it's decided in this meeting that it should be included, that's fine by us. And that is the RIP 7212. But other than that, Still team thinks that it's okay that should we add basically every other EIP that the rest of the teams consider important. So I think we can start just with the list and go each EIP by EIP, and then we can just hear opinions if anyone's here in the meeting that wants to raise an opposing opinion or for opinion. Yes, Barnabas?
Yeah, just I think it would be a bit quicker to go through the peer test testing first before we dive into the what should be included in the next one. Because I'm worried we're going to be running out of time and we're not going to have time to give a peer test update.
Yeah, okay, that sounds fine. Is Will here in the... Are you ready for give an update?
Yeah, I can give an update on like the latest on peer test 7. So
Okay.
we just launched on Friday and we had a full fork this morning. We had our spammer break around the full fork, but it's been fixed and we've been spamming blobs and we have 100% participation for now. We are still waiting for different EL teams to get onboarded. Bezu and Aragon still don't have any validators and they don't seem to have a full branch right now. But hopefully we can onboard them soon. And that's about it.
All right, thanks. Will, do you want to go over the peer DAS updates first?
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Barnabas. I think that's kind of the major update is shipping DevNet 7 and uh, activating the Fulu fork on that this morning. Um, there's still the item, I don't know if Justin's on the call, but we were trying to urge people to make some decisions on the BPO blob schedule so that that could be merged last Friday. It looks like it has been merged. I don't know if there's still people that are in decision on that or what we could do to advance that.
We were just waiting until after this call to merge it. So I'll
Oh,
merge
gotcha.
it soon, and then I'll make a new PR to backport it to Deneb. So it's the plan.
Great. Um, yeah, I think that I don't know, unless anyone feels otherwise, those were the major things that I had kind of documented on the list. There's a handful of other small open APIs around the Beacon API, or sorry, open PRs, but nothing major.
Terrence, was your question about DevNet Zero spec about the blob schedule stuff?
Yeah, the BPO.
Yeah, I think it should be part of DevNet Zero, in
Sounds
my
good.
opinion.
Also, what should be the timeline we are thinking about for Demo Zero? Maybe in 2 weeks' time? Is it realistic for everyone?
Our older clients team here. Yeah, I think 2 weeks is fine. Even 1 week should be fine. Well, it depends on what we want, right? I guess we're finalizing the EIP scope here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we want to include any EIPs in DevNet Zero other than the BPO. We can also have like DevNet One
Okay.
with all the agreed upon uh, EIPs that we agree on today.
If it's just BPO, like speak for prison team, of course, I think we can do this in 1 week.
How's the rest of the teams feeling about this? Can the ELs chime in?
AC's cool with 2 weeks. Just to level set, that would be the get engine stuff, the cell transaction validation, and BPO hard forks.
Just to clarify, this is talking about the BPO only and not none of the other CFI EIPs. Is that correct?
So not the PeerDOS ones, because there's PeerDOS work to be done on the EL.
I'm sorry, I meant the rest of the CFI
Yeah,
EIPs.
that's accurate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from ELs?
So never mind,
Yes.
we will be ready whatever will be decided to be added, but it's a bit unclear for me, like what we need to add on top of DevNet 7. Like what's the features you are talking about to add in this DevNet 0 in 2 weeks?
The BPO.
And only it, yeah, sure, so we can add it.
So just to summarize, this would be the first DevNet 0 for Fusaka. It will contain PeerDAS and BPO only. None of the other CF5 EIPs will be included. So basically, would this be the same as DevNet 7, or is there anything else included, Barnabas?
I think we can agree upon that today, especially if there's some very obvious and tiny EIPs that wouldn't like delay DevNet 7 launch in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would just add that we definitely want to stick to that timeline. So let's only choose stuff that we think we can hit there. And the main reason for having a more rigid timeline is that we do have an in-person meeting in June, and we would like to at least have one DevNet through where we can find some issues rather than having everything in a DevNet and not hitting the deadline.
Okay, so does it sound reasonable for us to include two of the CF5 EIPs? From what I can see right now in the list of each client, the most requested one or the most important one for all teams seems to be the ModExp related precompilers. That is 7823 and 7883. That's on the top of the list of every single client, and I think those two are pretty straightforward and can even be tested. Like it's very straightforward. We can make prepare a release of tests in the next couple of weeks, and should be included in my opinion. Does that sound reasonable for everyone?
When you say included, are you referring to DevNet 0 or DevNet 1?
That would be DevNet 0. That is in 2 weeks.
We would prefer those to go into a DevNet 1. We would prefer to see the pure DOS and BPO stuff in isolation.
I mean, from the suggestion, this means the DevNet 0 would be only testing the BPO bit because Paradas is already being tested right now, no?
What exactly would the BPO be testing? Because unless you're having lots of mini forks, is it really?
Yeah,
That's
true.
exactly what we want to test. We can have a bunch of BPO tests on this DevNet 0. So basically, we're going to be bumping up the blob count, the target, and the max, and we're going to be dropping it back down. Then we're going to drop it or push it back up and drop it back down. So basically, we want to test all the functionality of the BPOs.
Anyone else has opposing or comments on BPO only fork for DevNet 0 in 2 weeks?
Nethermind is fine with it. If we decide to add ModExp APS, it's fine too.
Yeah, a ref's preference would be to include ModExp, but if we don't, that's fine.
Guess also doesn't care.
Yeah, what is the reason to not include ModExp right now?
For us, it's a timing issue and simply isolation of pure DOS testing. So Besu is not fully on the pure DOS DevNet.
We don't necessarily need to include Besu also in Predas or in Fusaka Devnet 0.
I missed that, Barnabas. You're super muffled.
Barnabas, we missed your comment. Could you repeat, please?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's better now. Or it's still bad.
Yes, that sounds better.
Yeah, okay, so it's also possible that we do not include Besu then in Fusaka Devnet 0. And we would, like, right now, Devnet 7 is basically meant to be for pure DOS testing. So it would be very good if Besu would have a non-BPO but pure DOS ready branch that we could be testing on this feature. Because right now we are basically like holding back features just because Bezu is not yet on Peerless DevNet. So I would actually push for having ModExp in DevNet 0 and have all those features tested as well, especially if all the ELs are on board except Bezu. And then try to push Bezu to be included in Peerless DevNet 7.
I
Yes,
mean, if you
Andrew?
want to launch DevNet 0 without all the clients, I think that's fine.
So I have a question about PRDAS. We are working to implement it on the CL side in Kaplan, but is there anything required on the EL side? Because we won't be ready in 2 weeks on the CL side, but maybe if yeah. So is it something kind of trivial on the EL side? Or no changes at all on the EL side for PRDAS?
Maybe one of the EL devs can talk about the chain set, but last I checked, it shouldn't be a very massive chain set.
But there is a kind of there is a change.
Yeah, there is a change.
Ah, okay.
And some just share the PR for the execution APIs. I think that's the main chain, right? The engine API.
There was also a networking change. Maybe Roman has some details on how large the changes were.
Yeah, it's a small networking change to treat the proofs differently, and then mostly the engine API changes.
Yeah, for us, the engine API is less of a concern than it is the checking the cell proofs on the transactions that are incoming. We have an issue with our native crypto integration that popped up. Somebody was reporting it in Discord, and so we need to nail that down before being certain we can ship the cell proofs.
Yeah, so summarizing it, there is not a lot of changes, but they are definitely not trivial.
And Kevin in the chat is asking for details on the issue. Justin?
Yeah, I was going to post those in the chat. It's we're like I said, we're still investigating it. It's a really weird packaging issue that's very, very isolated to like OSX on Intel type use case. So it's weird and we don't understand it, which has got us reluctant to moving forward. But on the other hand, it's an almost negligible proportion of our client base. So we need to understand this issue better before we disregard it.
Could we not use a branch to test in the meantime? I mean, I understand that this is a super niche bug, but in the same time, it would be very valuable, I think, to have Bezu onboarded on DevNet 7.
Yeah, nobody's debating the value of having it done. It's just not ready yet.
Okay, it seems like also we are divided on ModExp. Should we defer that decision until ACDE? Because it seems like if there's issues right now with PeerDAS alone, it might delay even further if we include ModExp. That's just a sentiment I feel. Any thoughts?
I mean, this didn't sound like a PeerDAS issue to me.
And Tim is asking in the chat if there's other clients with issues at the moment.
Yeah, and I guess maybe to expand on that a little bit is if we do have, it seems like we have Ref, Geth, and Nethermind who could start working on ModExp. I feel like there's value in trying to get 3 clients to interop and find any potential issues in ModExp, given how uncontentious the EIPs are. So that's, I would personally bias towards having them included in DevNet Zero. Even if it means like, yeah, we don't have all clients on day 1 for DevNet Zero. They're also pretty trivial EIPs, so you can even imagine something where like, if say Base2 is fixing their bug and doesn't make it for DevNet Zero at all, by DevNet 1, like the incremental work to add ModExp should be pretty small. So they could maybe like join straight into DevNet 1 or something like that. But I feel like ModExp is so I don't know, unanimously like desired that we should just get testing it ASAP, and then it also gives us the more time if we've like confirmed those to have further discussions in ACD about like what would be the bigger features we'd want to bring for DevNet 1, while keeping the focus on PeerDAS and like relatively small changes in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, also we can start preparing the tests in this week. Yeah, we're gonna prioritize ModExp. Some mentions that we should add the pay code, but it feels to me that that's higher complexity than ModExp. So maybe we should defer that discussion for DevNet 1, if that's okay. Or does anybody feel like we should definitely include it in DevNet 0? Yes, Johan?
Yeah, I just want to say I don't think we should include it for DevNet 0. And that's also because I have a PR open for pay, because the current EIP is not, it misses some edge cases from the EIP. And if there is some offer of the pay opcode here, then please review this EIP, because I really want to get this in the Fusaka, but none of the authors has left a review there yet, so it would be really helpful.
Cool. Okay. It sounds like we have a decision at the moment. So just to summarize, DevNet 0 in 2 weeks. That includes PeerDAS and BPO, sorry, and the 2 ModExp EIPs. And that is EIP 7823 and EIP 7883. Are there any opposing opinions? Cool. Okay. So I think it sounds like we have a plan. Great. Yeah. Anyway, I have this other document. We can continue on adding things to this, and just please keep an eye on it. If there's any opinions on the rest of the EIPs, please just reach out, and we can just discuss for the EIPs that we want to include them in one. Okay. Cool. Yeah, and going back to PeerDAS, I think we cut that off. Will, is there any other discussion on PeerDAS that needs to be had?
No, I don't believe so.
There is a small suggestion to limit blob count per transaction to like maybe not to the next DevNets, but maybe we could discuss it and confirm potential inclusion, like DevNet 1 or so. So the idea is to bring additional field that would mean that like in time range of current fork, transaction cannot hold more blobs than load.
Yes,
It's
Marcin?
Yes, it will be extremely helpful to have a cap on max number of blobs per transactions. Like if we aim in having like max blobs per block at let's say 72, then like having 72 block transactions will be like harder to handle than transactions with lower amount of blobs, and we see no point in allowing such a big amount of data in one transaction. So having a cap on blobs per transactions to 12, 15, or whatever will make our life simpler. And yes, we would like to have something like that if there is no opposition.
Yes, Terence?
Yeah, so I agree. I also raised my hand as well. I think like another venue to bring this up is at the roll call, because this will change how layer two raw batch poster work typically, because today like layer twos, they typically, some layer twos raw they post one block per transaction, but some of them actually do prefer batching as much as they can to essentially amortize the execution tip amount, because currently the tip is specified in the execution format rather than the blob DA format. Because of that, there is a cost saving that you can do to essentially batch post blobs as like for the bigger amount, such that you just have to tip once. So I guess the raw venue will be like, well, like yeah, definitely can bring this up in the raw venue. I don't see there's reason not to do this, but it will be good to give Rob a little bit of heads up, because this will change how they work. And then and it's also worth mentioning different Rob are slightly different, like base, OP stack, Arbitrum, ZKs. Like they they all work differently here.
Yes, Francis?
Yeah, I agree with Terence. I think there's no reason to not have it. And I guess my suggestion, or like my like 2 cents here, is that can we maybe tentatively include it and have clients start working on it, and we just kind of like give it a like initial tentative number 9 or whatever to start with, and then we can like start gathering like informations and stuff. But I feel like the work can be started now.
Just for context, do we have an EIP number on this? Or is that work in progress? I assume no EIP now. Uh, yes, I think we can. I don't know if it's a good call to add it to DevNet 0. I don't think so. It feels to me that if we add this, it should be added to DevNet 1 at least.
I don't
Any
think there's a EIP for that, but I do remember seeing a consensus spec PR for that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's a PR linked in the chat.
Thank you. Yes, Kevin. Kevin?
Yeah, I vaguely remember there being this proposal to have a 10 megabyte limit on the transaction size. Does this limit also include the number of blobs that are in the transaction?
I think that was a block limit, right? If I'm not mistaken, you're talking about 7934, and that's RLP execution block size. And I don't think it will be included because it's only the RLP, which does not include the network version of the transaction. So I don't think this is. Or do you mean like?
I think there was. Oh, I thought there was one to limit the size of a particular transaction on the P2P network, or.
There's one to limit the gas of a transaction.
Oh, okay, I see. Right. Yeah, not that one. Yeah.
Francis, I see that your hand's still up. Do you have other comments, or was that from the last time?
It was from last time, sorry.
All right. Any other opinions on this topic? It feels to me that is deferred at least to Devnet 1. Unless anyone wants to chime in. Okay. If not, we can move on. Next topic would be this PR. It was raised as a topic by Alex. I don't know if he's in the call. This is the link to the PR. And it has emerged. I don't know if there's any other things that you want to add to this topic, Justin or Alex.
No, we talked about this just a little bit ago. I've just merged it.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. If nothing to discuss about that, we can just move into history expiry. Barnabas, I think that you were going to discuss this today, or was it Paritosh?
Yeah, I can try to discuss. Mic keeps dropping off. Sorry. So we wanted to begin testing history expiry, possibly with Portal, and we have asked them to add support for kurtosis, so we can try to do arbitrary history drop at any specific height. This is still work in progress. Regarding dropping history in Sepolia and mainnet, we were discussing to push the possible deadline for that to next month, so like 1st of June for Sepolia. How would everyone feel about that? Because the original deadline was 1st of May. But I think we still have some EL devs that haven't defaulted to dropping history on Sepolia. This is pretty much history only.
Yeah, and in terms of readiness, please also include like documentation or user guides or something that we can point to and test, especially for a public testnet. So would you guys be okay with 1st of June as a deadline for including documentation?
Basic's fine with 1 June.
Any other ELs?
I cannot say anything to that yet. We have it in the code. but it's hidden behind a flag, with probably not going to enable it by default for quite some time. So yeah, but I think we will probably be able to create documentation in 2 weeks.
Any comments from Nethermind? Or any comments from Aragon or Red?
I'm checking in with the team right now.
In Aragon, we have a PR, but it's not merged yet, so we're still reviewing it. And but in any case, we won't. Most likely, we won't make a release by the 1st of June. So maybe we'll make a release in a couple of months.
I guess that's one of the questions, right? Is there some reason we have to coordinate this across clients, or is the understanding now that every client just enables history expiry whenever they're ready?
I think we agreed to do it by Fusaka. So I think, yeah, to me it sounds like as long as every client does it before Fusaka, it's okay.
I think we don't have to coordinate it and basically just say that we will not drop before some date, right? And this should be good enough coordination. And then it's up to client when exactly we will release something here.
Yeah, I think the main issue with that approach was we had agreed on a deadline of May 1st, and essentially it didn't happen. So the question is, are we just now setting arbitrary deadlines, or is the 1st of May, like the 1st of June, does it have any purpose besides just a signal?
I think that's true, but okay, because the first one was arbitrary, and then we wanted to kind of delay it till after Pectra shipped. So when Pectra slipped a little bit, that was no longer the case, and so now we have another arbitrary deadline, which is fine, but it's after Pectra, which is the point. So I think that's how I square that concern, Perry.
Okay. So we can set it as 1st of June, and then we just bring it up on the weekly meeting to see if there's any update and try to at least have some clients that are ready by then, I guess.
Were
I mean,
we going to do it on Sepolia?
yeah, this is on Sepolia.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else regarding history expiry? Okay, just to summarize, we're expecting 1st of June to be a release or document and our documentation for Sepolia history expiry. Great. Yeah, I think that's everything we had for the agenda today. Is there any other topics that anyone wants to raise? Okay, sounds good. Okay, so yeah, we can let everyone go with 20 minutes to spare. Great, thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.